Hello and welcome. I'm pleased to have a guest who is the author of a new book, Collaborative Hardball. I had a chance to meet Susan Coleman in Kenya recently on a World Open Space Conference. Welcome, Susan.
Hello there, Mandeep. It's so great to see you. We had a good time, and it's nice to see you again here.
Susan has been over 35 years working in war zones to boardrooms, teaching people negotiation skills, mediating conflict, and supporting clients in collaborative change initiatives through facilitation and coaching. She has worked with tens of thousands of people in 34 countries on just about every continent with hundreds of organizations, governments, teams, and individuals, including the United Nations, NASA, senior women leaders of the government of Afghanistan, and Columbia University. The first question that I have in mind is that how did you make a foray into the expertise of negotiation that you are into? How did you get into
Mm.
this?
Well, like probably for all of us, that's a long story, but I could start. I'll start the journey maybe with being a litigator on Wall Street and long ago, and feeling like watching how people were resolving conflict was really kind of ridiculous. I left there. I went to the program on negotiation at Harvard Law School and the Kennedy School of Government. I did all kinds of things there, international development, negotiation. I won the negotiation prize, which maybe gave me a sense that I was like, okay, maybe I got some talent here. But then I said to them, this was over a long period of time, I want to do intercultural negotiation because I think culture has a big impact on how we even think about negotiation. I then ultimately bid on a contract with the United Nations, won it, and delivered their negotiation and mediation programs around the world, both internal, but I was also doing external facilitated conflict. And then fast forward again, because so much of this is systemic, I started focusing on interventions to build common ground, and I started the Peace Building podcast, From Conflict to Common Ground. And it was in that process that I thought, wow, the most impactful peace building initiative that could happen on this planet is to empower women. So that is Collaborative Hardball. The tagline to that book is using the power of a new negotiation as women to change the world. So there's a little bit of a
Yes, and I remember you saying that they are the largest resource on this planet, which is so untapped. We spoke about that, when we were at the conference. How do you define negotiation? I'll start with the basic, Susan.
Yeah. Negotiation, in my mind, in my book, I define it as any time a person or a party is trying to directly influence or persuade another person or a party. So by that definition, when you think about it, we are negotiating all the time. I mean, we get up, we're negotiating all the time. And women around the world are negotiating all the time. And we're also obstructed in our attempts to negotiate, which is some of what the book is about.
And all your network has written such fabulous things about the book. And I've gone through it. I still have a few things, but I think it brought out things which I really want other people to know about. I want to start with your advice about building negotiation power in women. Um, how do we, what is your advice that how should they start doing this?
Yeah. Well, of course, that is the whole book. But I will say that when you think about any skill set that you want to develop in yourself, it kind of has three components. It has attitude, knowledge, and skill. And I will say that fundamentally, in terms of attitude, we have to truly get that we are not secondary in any way. For tens of thousands, for millennia, men and women have lived in partnership, and women have been truly strong and powerful. And then patriarchy took over, and that's only very recent in our evolution as humans. So it still impacts how we show up. I actually needed to be more formidable, and some of that is simply that awareness or that attitude that somehow somebody knows more than I do, that I have given my power away in a very subtle and sometimes not so subtle way to another person. So I do think we need to dismantle the system of patriarchy. It is the largest superpower on the planet, in the words of Emma Watson, who's the Harry Potter actor. Um, And that's what I call collaborative hardball, which is basically the counterforce, which is large enough because women, we are half of humanity, and there are many, many also humans that support the rise of the feminine. Um, so collaborative hardball is a force large enough to take on the patriarchal world culture and create a world that works for all. And I like the words of Hala. I'm going to mispronounce her name, Tomasdottir, the amazing president of Iceland. She's amazing, but she said, she knows this is a heavy lift, but we don't need realistic goals. We need courageous goals now, ambitious goals. We are facing massive challenges the world over, and empowering women, closing the gender gap, is a big part of solving them, if not the key to solving them. So I like her quote.
Yes. How can people prepare themselves emotionally for these challenging conflicts or make themselves stronger and, in your words, formidable?
So are you referring to emotionally difficult?
Yes.
And then also, maybe you're also talking about domestic situations, but maybe I'll
Yes.
first address the emotionally challenging situations.
Sure.
Look, I think negotiation wouldn't be particularly difficult if it weren't for the emotions involved. I mean, look at women, we got plenty of brain power, and lots of times this is about solving problems. But it's when the emotions get involved that we can get tripped up. And so I would say that the first thing that we need to pay attention to when there's emotional material is manage the charge, what I call the charge. And it's what I call is it's emotional energy, which is often anger or frustration that builds up when we're not able to meet our needs, either psychological or tangible. And it's often triggered by past trauma, so that makes it even more challenging.
A lot of women in our group over the last 4 years that we have been together in the community and talk about it, talk about the fact that there were situations where, to lift themselves up and get that courage was really difficult. And sometimes parents and friends are not enough at that point in time, or they're not there. What is your advice about it? How could these women make themselves more stronger and formidable?
Yeah. Well, um, I mean, I think the reality is it's always an inside job, first and foremost. And I will say for myself, even though I've been in the outside, apparently powerful woman, whatever, but I went through a pretty vulnerable time. I was in a marriage for 20 years, and I loved this guy very much. He's the father of my children. And it was great in the beginning, and then it turned not great and got violent, and which was very challenging because I was also going out into the world and teaching people negotiation skills and resolving conflict elsewhere. And I thought, wow, I somehow haven't been able to create peace in my own home, which was pretty devastating to me, really. But I learned so much from it, and I do think that peace, good negotiation skills, they do begin at home. It's and so much research is showing that when we create good negotiation skills, conflict resolution skills are the key skill for good marriages. They are the key skill, and they're the key skill for kids growing up in safe environments, and on and on and on.
So I'm coming to a question that I love to ask people because I have dealt with a lot of bullies in my life. So I'm going to ask you about what works well with bullies when you are negotiating.
Well, I talk about this in great detail in the book, but I will just say to leave you with boundaries. And, bullies want you to feel small, scared, inferior. And the first step is refusing to give them that power. I like Eleanor Roosevelt. She was one of the first ladies in the United States. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. But they often appear powerful, but it's usually driven by fear, immaturity, entitlement, and I can think of many of these people are very powerful people, and there are many of them that are very powerful in the world today. And I won't name names, but some of them in the United States are very much in the news. And appeasing doesn't work. Counterattacking escalates. The strategy is to build your BATNA, your ability to walk away, to stay grounded in your sovereignty, to hold firm boundaries, to not obey in advance. In other words, don't give your power away. Use leverage gently, strategically, elegantly sometimes, and if possible, work around them rather than through them, because there's lots of ways that you can get your needs met without having to engage with them. So, I would just say again, unfortunately, in our world right now, there are many people who have very powerful positions in the world that are big bullies. And it's one of the reasons that we as women need to get more powerful and not give them the reins that they have, not let them take as much power as they have taken.
You have a powerful couple of last few chapters talking about the money power, and they were really important when you're discussing the whole gamut of stuff. And that is something where women do not sometimes feel confident enough. So how can women strengthen their money power?
Yeah. Money is about power at the end of the day, and we're ambivalent about power, many of us. And so that's, again, it comes back sometimes that attitude shift. We've been conditioned, I think, many of us to be foggy-headed. I know I was codependent, nice around it. Oh my God, even though I was very skilled with math, and I gave my ex-husband so much power with regard to our finances, and not completely. I didn't completely give it away, but luckily, there is nothing unladylike about handling money well. And some of the patterns I see that I saw in myself, and I have seen it in other women, are staying childlike sometimes around money. Not claiming value or our full value, and I'm not blaming us completely, because obviously there's a lot of discrimination, price discrimination and salary discrimination, but just what we have control over giving sometimes, avoiding financial literacy, relying on men and getting controlled as a result, and staying in learned helplessness. So we need to be clear, we need to be competent, we need to get honest, we need to claim our power, and we need to stop enabling men's false empowerment. I mean, when you look around the world at who is running the show financially, honestly, it is, this is a big source of, makes me very angry. There are maybe, I don't know how many billionaires there are at this point, but there aren't that many in terms of the world. And they're mostly white, and they're mostly dudes. The majority are men. And they have control over huge, vast planetary resources, which has big implications for all of us in terms of what's happening with our kids, what's happening with our planet. We women need to step into our power here and really manage those resources, claim value. We have every bit of mental capacity to do this. I think we just have been acculturated to not be doing it. And I think the more there is financial equality on the planet, we'll have more gender equality.
Well said. Well said. I think that's something that we've been discussing on different panels, but it needs to happen. And every time that you see the when do we think we'll accomplish the gender equality, it always pushes further away. Like COVID, it moved it further away, and people say, oh, 2080 or something like that. Let's see. With so many things that you've accomplished with different countries that you work, the governments and older women and everything else, I wanted to ask you, what is your success mantra?
I like this. What is my success mantra? I really loved this question, Mandeep. I think it's the feminine is rising and we are not going back. I am a big naturalist. I am very deeply concerned about what's happening with our climate. I think what's happening, how I start the book is connecting the dots between what's happening with our climate, what's happening with the militarization, what's happening with gender equality. These things are all linked. The feminine is about caring for each other, and it's also about caring for the planet. My heart breaks for my kid. My kids are fabulous, but they both are looking at a future. They're not in denial about what it's looking like. I think we're going to get out of it, but it's looking very scary in terms of the planet, our mutual home that we're all living on. So I think watching other women really inspires me. We all need to inspire each other. I need to keep stepping more fully into my leadership. And so do all of us. So do you. It's time for true gender equality on the planet, I think. It's key to peace, sustainability, our children's future.
Well said. Well said, Susan. I love that chapter of yours which says that, I hope I may not be around, but by 2080, that one earth, one world, better fit, and seeing and imagining a better world for your kids was a beautiful bit about hoping for a better future. I would like to go away because we have a lot of men also who see some of these things. So I want to ask you that what should all leaders, men and women, know the basic about negotiation?
Well, first, I just want to say about gender, which is not exactly in response, is that for men not to be afraid of this. I mean, one of the reasons I'm in a beautiful partnership today with a guy that I marvel at the fact he's not scared of gender equality, just not scared of it. And it's really amazing. There's so many men out there that really support women, but we need to make sure that we are supporting ourselves and do the work for ourselves to get stronger, to get more powerful, to really step into our leadership. I think that leaders everywhere need to understand that negotiation shapes absolutely everything: relationships, cultures, organizations, and war and peace nations. Negotiation is not just a tactic. It is the bloodstream of leadership, really. And the leaders who can influence collaboratively, without domination, without fear, without coercion, are the ones, I believe, who are going to shape our future.
Well said. Negotiations, really, I love the fact that they actually are the bloodstream of leadership. Very well said, Susan Coleman. A pleasure having you as our guest today. I want to tell everyone the book is not yet available in India, but if you're interested, please let Divyanshi, my assistant, know, and I will definitely get Susan to send some copies so that you can all get one. Susan, thank you so much. I hope your book tour and everything's promotions go very well. All the very best, Susan. Great having you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.